What happened?
Yeah, so this client, it was one of my local clients who had been with us for years, and they wanted to move on and hire a. It wasn't a painting customer; it was a eye doctor, and so
Hmm.
they found an agency that specialized in eye doctors, and this one wasn't all that special. So yeah, she called me up and said, "Oh, we're moving away from you." She was really heartbroken about it because we had a good relationship. But 2 weeks later, she calls me back in tears because
Hmm.
this woman had basically just launched a terrible site for her, and she was just completely devastated and was wondering if I could take them back. And I said, of course, yeah, I had a backup of the site. So
Hmm.
within just a few hours, we had her website back up, and she fired the new agency, and,
Yeah.
and so it was a nightmare, but it
Oh
came out
man.
good in the end. So
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. Glad you had a backup. Oh my goodness. I've heard some stories about that, and maybe we'll share those when we get into them. But first, let's welcome everybody. So hello and welcome back to the DYB podcast. Our mission is to help you to double your business so that you can have financial freedom, time for your family, and make an impact in your community. Today, please join me in welcoming DYB's premier online lead generating rock star. That's right, ClikWiz Mike of ClikWiz Painter Marketing Magic. Mike, how you doing today?
I'm awesome. Thank you for having me on. This is great.
Hey, my pleasure. Back to your story before we get into it. We've had examples of clients, and we recommend them to you, and they say, "Well, Steve, I've got this person in my BNI, and they can do it cheaper." And it's not just that they can do it cheaper, but they feel the pressure of passing referrals, and it happens. And a couple of them come to mind. I'm not going to say the name, but and they'll spend say $800 to have their BNI friend build a website, and then a year later they say, "Gosh, what a pain this has been. We made a bunch of mistakes. Can you put me in touch with Mike?" I said, "Yeah, no problem, absolutely, and we understand. It's if you're in BNI, there's that draw and there's that accountability and that pressure. You got to pass business around, but it's there's a lot more to just building a website. Kind of like in the painting industry, not everybody's a painter, and if we've been in the business for more than 3 days, we realize that. And so there are a lot of those stories. I get that. Now
Yeah,
in this,
I could probably give you three or four more stories just
yeah,
like that one, where a customer left for their BNI group and said exactly what you said.
yeah,
I feel like I have to hire the BNI partner because that's what BNI is about. You refer each
yeah.
other to each other,
Mhm.
and I get it. But yeah, it won't. It never fails. It's almost every time they
Yeah.
come back to me within a year. You
And
know.
then you feel doubly bad because they've just wasted this money and now they've got to pay to, fix it, redo it, build it out correctly, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so that's hard. So to put it in painter context, it's like guys, when somebody goes with their friend or hires their in-laws or, to paint or whatever, and then they call you back, say, "I'm sorry, I need you to come fix it." You charge them to do it right. Sometimes it costs more. So be warned. I'm glad you we opened up with that story so that everybody is at least warned up front. Still do what you feel like you need to do, but we hope that you do it right the first time. Now, Mike, before you share all of your juicy ninja online lead generating strategies, what I want to do is unpack the fundamentals. What are the fundamentals that somebody needs to have in place before we get to the advanced juicy ninja stuff?
Yeah. So, I mean, the fundamentals are your website. Got to have a great website. It's got to look professional. You don't necessarily have to spend a ton of money on it. There are some less expensive ways to get something decent out there.
Mm-hmm.
Even some of the do-it-yourself sites like Weebly and uh, what's the other one? Squarespace, things like that. For somebody who's just getting started in the painting industry and can't afford to hire an agency like us, those are some great options. Or maybe your local BNI guy. If everybody starts somewhere, and we're kind
Yeah,
of like
yeah.
the middle of the road agency. For a
Okay.
lot of painters are starting up, can't
Mm-hmm.
quite afford our level of service, but there are plenty of ways to to still do that and do it well.
What?
Second thing is Google Business Profile.
Mm,
That's probably one of the most important things that you can do even before the website these days. Get that profile and start getting reviews.
so hold on, I'm going to come
And
at it like
then
a novice in case somebody's never done this. So when you say Google profile, how do you mean? Just your online the profile, the address, the phone number, right? The
yep, yep,
okay,
yeah. You
right.
just go
So
to
like the map
business.google.com.
location. Hmm.
Yep, yep. And I can give you some good pointers on that. Specifically, is because if you just do one thing, if you master that, it'll make a big difference. Biggest thing, reviews. Every job you do, try to ask for that review, or don't try, just do it. Um, it's so important. And with painters, it's really hard to get a lot of reviews because you're only doing what, one or two jobs a week. And so it's not like you're getting 100 customers through your store a day, where you can generate a ton of reviews. No, you get only a few opportunities a week. And so you have to try to get it every
Yeah,
single
yeah.
opportunity. And so only like maybe 10% of your customers are going to, take the time to do that. And so if you do 100 jobs and only get 10 reviews, it just takes time. So start now and be relentless at it.
Now let
The
me
other
jump in
thing is,
here. You
yeah,
have a program. I'd like you to mention this. You have a program to help with that process, don't you?
yes, we do. It's not our software, but we're a partner with grade.us. And if you get it through us, you actually get it a little bit cheaper than what they charge directly. So, and plus you get our support, which is much better than theirs. So,
Right on.
um, but basically what that does is it automates the process. It's at its basic level, all you have to do is enter your customer's name and email address into the system, and it sets off an email sequence to request that feedback. And a couple of different ways you can do it. We used to do it, where it would send an email requesting a rating, like 1 to 5 stars, just like you do on Google. The DYB system has kind of shifted to more of what's it called, the
Net promoter.
Net Promoter Score.
Hmm.
Yeah, and where it's more of a question that really kind of gets down to the customer's sentiment on how they feel about you and your business, and that is on a scale of 1 to 10, would you refer us to your friends and family? And and so that can give you a huge amount of feedback just with that one question. And if it's a 7 or above, then it will ask for a Google review or Facebook or whatever sites you're trying to get more reviews on. So,
Right on.
and if they don't respond the first time, then it'll send a couple of follow-up emails. So,
There we go. Then some direct mail, and then we send somebody to beat on their door. No,
yeah.
just kidding. Yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
and if you've got your other tech set up like a CRM, you can connect it to that through Zapier, to where when the project's over, it'll automatically send out that request.
Awesome. Very cool. Okay. Thank you. Sorry for that a little dog leg there. Back to the fundamentals, Google reviews, and just a comment on that. Google reviews are social proof. Social proof is one of the 6 laws of influence in the number one book on sales and marketing, Influence by Dr. Robert Cialdini. He unpacks exactly how important social proof is. And so, yeah, Google reviews are not only important for helping to convince, but also to help you to rank, if I hear you correctly, Mike.
Yes. Yeah, and Google doesn't care as much about how high your rating is. They don't need to see a perfect 5.0 score. In fact, your people who come across your Google business profile, if they see 100 reviews and they're all 5 stars,
Mm-hmm.
that starts to get a little suspicious. Then they think,
Mm-hmm.
well, you're only getting those reviews from your best customers, and
Mm.
and the ones that maybe aren't too happy are being discouraged. And so if you get a negative review here and there, it's not the end of the world. It actually looks more natural.
Yeah.
But in Google's eyes, as far as ranking goes, they just want to see that activity. That's what's important to them. So,
So one part of our system and our coaching is when you get a negative review, usually guys freak out, which is understandable. But I say, no, this is a great opportunity because it's an opportunity for everybody to see your character and how you reply or respond to that review.
yep,
And so,
and yeah, I get those questions a lot when someone gets a negative review. They really do. They feel like it's the end of the world at that moment,
mhm,
and if you only have two or three other reviews, well, yeah, it's bad.
it's going
But
to be weighted. Yeah.
but if you've got 50 other positive reviews, it's actually a good thing because that gives you an opportunity to say, hey, we screwed up.
Mhm,
This is why. This is what we did to fix it, and just show the world that, hey, we're
mhm,
human,
mhm.
but we
And
make it
we
right.
own it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Right on. Awesome. Thank you. So we've got reviews. What are some of the other fundamental items?
Uh, the other things are to make sure your profile is completely filled out. Use every possible section that Google gives you, and just make sure it's filled out. Things like services, hours of operation, what kind of payments do you accept, things like that. You even with like services, you can actually not just put the label interior painting, exterior painting, but you can add a little bit more content to that and give kind of a description of why your interior painting services are better than your competitor.
Okay.
Um, uh, one little ninja hack that I could give you that a lot of painting companies really push back on
Hmm.
is showing your address. So many painting companies run out of their homes, and that is kind of scary for them to put their home address out for the world to see. But in all the years I've been doing this, I've heard of maybe only a handful, maybe two clients where someone showed up at their house, and
Yeah.
and it wasn't a big deal. But uh, I've found in our testing, you're going to rank better if you show your address.
Mm.
Google won't admit that. In fact, they've kind of relaxed their rules on service area businesses.
Hmm.
It used to be like if you ran out of your house, you had to be a service area business, and they would actually suspend your account if you didn't set it up that way. And so for a few years there, we had to do that, even though we knew that if you show your address, you rank better.
Hmm.
But they've relaxed that, and in some cases, I've even had Google support recommend it. So,
All right. Now the little dog leg here. Back in the day, used to try to, let's say, maximize the listing opportunities. And I don't know, there was somebody down in Venice, Florida, who would go around and get street addresses at all of the local city UPS boxes. And in
mm-hmm.
fact, I think I even admitted this or talk about it in the book. These the profiles, the Google profiles in local and nearby towns, communities, and cities aren't needed anymore. Is that correct?
In rare cases, will I recommend setting up a second location? um, it's really hard to do. And Google does not like, you can't use a PO box, you can't use a UPS store, any of those pack and ship places that offer mailbox services. Um, they you, those won't even work. You basically have to have an office or warehouse or something where you can get mail in order to set up that second location. And so to do it and do it effectively, it's pretty expensive. You have to rent office space or something like that. Even the virtual offices,
Hmm.
sometimes they'll work, sometimes
Yeah.
they'll get you suspended.
Wow. No
So
kidding. So I've heard that you have to send pictures in, confirming, verifying
sometimes, yeah, they'll
location.
make you
Yeah.
take pictures and videos and send letterhead with the address on it, things like that. So they've got pretty smart about it.
Okay. So along these lines, what does somebody do then if they have another market or they're expanding into a neighboring city? How can they list there as well?
Um, some of our customers have used, other businesses. So if another business has maybe a warehouse space or something that maybe you could partner up with them, and you know print a magnetic sign that you can stick on their door or something like that to take your pictures when Google wants to verify it. And just it has to be able to get mail. But that's the key. It has to be a physical location that doesn't look like a virtual office or mailbox type thing.
All right. Now, owning the first page of Google is step 3 in the DYB system, and a couple other components that we encourage are naps and blogs. How relevant are they for the fundamentals these days?
So NAPs, NAPs, or name, address, and phone numbers, what that stands for, they're not effective as far as ranking goes. At least as not as much as they used to be. But they are still kind of like the baseline. Hey, I need to get this done because it speaks to kind of the trust and authority side of things. Google has put a lot of emphasis on what's called EAT, and it's EEAT, and it's experience, expertise, authoritativeness, trustworthiness. And so that's really what they're looking for when they're deciding who to rank in the top, on page 1 or the top 3. And so if all you have is a Google business profile, well, you might rank if you don't have any other competition, but I guarantee you if the other 10 painters or 100 painters in your area are doing more than you, well, they're going to beat you out. So NAPs is kind of the baseline. Easiest way to do that is go to a place like Yext. Just get their minimum basic package. I think it's like $35 a month. It just kind of blasts all of your information out there on the web. It locks your profiles down so they can't change. And the nice thing about it is that if you have to move and change your address, it makes it so much easier to update those. You just change it in their system, and within a week, all the other directories are updated.
Okay, note to self: update DYB system. Step 3: scratch out naps. Add EEAT.
Yes, yeah,
got it. What about blogs?
Blogs. So blogs are definitely still effective, and that's where kind of the EEAT comes in, is the content on your site. Basically, when you write a blog post, you want to come across as experienced and the expert and the authority in your market. And so that's really how you kind of pick topics, is, what are people searching for when they look for painters, do-it-yourself type articles, things like that. Other blog content opportunities might be if you finish up a job, do like a video walkthrough or before and after pictures, and kind of do a little post about the actual job, and what went well, what was great about it, maybe what was your challenges on that job. That speaks to the expertise and experience, because hey, we're actually out in the field doing this stuff. So Google likes to see that, and it's just an easy content idea, and if it's a showcase worthy project, then why not put it on your site and talk about it?
Yep, right on.
And then so experience. Other opportunities for experience would be like your portfolio, before and after pictures. Just constantly be updating that portfolio with new photos, and those can also be posted on your Google business profile. So if you got a job that you're showcasing, put those on Google business profile. That's one thing that Google really likes to see, is activity on that.
That's so you can cross-post those without being penalized.
Yeah, it's a different format, so it's a much shorter. So if you write 500 words for your blog post on your Google business profile, you would write maybe 100, 200 word summary. So it's really quick. I recommend Google business profile posts once a week if you can do it. It just generates that activity, and Google likes to see that.
Awesome. Okay, that's good to know. Right on.
Yeah.
What should
So
we get
other things you
into
could do on your uh,
sorry, go ahead.
um, to generate the experience in Google's eyes is your team page. I highly recommend building that out and just putting short bios of each of your team members on there, things like that. Um, and let's see. Oh, also on your website, get those reviews on there. They're not as trustworthy as the Google reviews because
Hmm.
people know that you can put whatever you want on your website, but you can also just you can embed some of your Google reviews on your website as well. So
Awesome. Well, speaking of website, what are some other key elements to consider when designing a website funnel?
great question. So when a funnel, a lot of people don't know what a funnel is, so I'll kind of explain that real quick. But when you have a physical funnel, like when you change your oil or something like that, it's wide at the top and narrow at the bottom, right? And that's kind of how your website is. Everybody that goes to your website isn't necessarily a lead, and so the job of your website is to kind of weed out all of the tire kickers or people who are just not really qualified, and narrow them down into qualified leads that need and want your service, right? So ways to do that with your website are, first of all, you want to get your visitors to know, like, and trust you, right? That's the whole purpose of your funnel. And so first thing they need to learn on your site is, does this company do what I'm looking for? I'm looking for a painter. Are you a painter? Well, that's pretty easy. Second of all, why should I do business with this customer or this company? And you establish that by establishing trust and social proof, right? Um, and so testimonials, portfolios, things like that are important. And then call to action. Call to action is the probably one of the most important. What do you want your visitors to do? How do they do business with you? Most of our painting customers in the DYB group as well, their absolute best call to action is to schedule an estimate. And we use you can book me or Acuity scheduling. It's embedded on the website. They can connect to your calendar and just schedule estimates right there. And
So
those are
I have
the
a quick
best
comment to
leads.
that. Some of my favorite sales that I made back out when I was running Brilliant Painting, after everyone I'd say, thank you. You could have went with somebody else. Why'd you choose us? And the guy goes, he was from Georgia. And, we're in a real nice condo down in Punta Gorda, right on the water. And he goes, man, he says, my wife's been on me for weeks to find a painter and get this painted. I was sitting in my lazy boy. And so finally I pulled up the Google and looked, so your website was first. So I clicked through and I saw that you had that calendar booking thing on there, and I scheduled you, and I didn't have to call. In fact, I didn't even call anybody else. You had the job before you came out here, So I said,
Yeah.
wait, how much was that quote? So, is there room to negotiate that up?
Yeah,
So,
make it easy for them.
mhm.
That's
Yeah, and he
either
loved. He just sat in his lazy chair, right, and all he had to do was do this, put the phone down, and said, "Got to take care of, darling."
yeah. I mean, you're going to have some people who are price shoppers, and that's fine. But some people, they just want as less friction as possible. They
Mhm.
want to know that you're going to do a good job, and that they don't have to do a lot of work to make it happen. So
Right
so
on.
make it easy for them.
Hmm.
Other ways to there's usually multiple ways to do business with you. You put the phone number on there, of course. You're going to put your maybe a contact form, but typically the ones that schedule an estimate, those are going to give you the highest close rate every time.
Hmm. Right on.
So
Right on. Awesome. Okay.
I also recommend putting your address on the website. That kind of syncs up with the Google Business Profile and your other directories that you've got your NAPs out on. That confirms with Google that, hey, this site is for this Google Business Profile and for this business. and everything's cohesive. So, you can just put it in the footer or on the contact page. So,
Right on.
yeah, so that
How
would
about
be the,
can we move on to SEO?
yeah, let's do
Okay.
it.
Before we do, a quick story, and I apologize. I didn't ask you if I could share this. So I'm going to go out on a limb here, and of course, we've been referring all of DYB members to you for years now. You've built, I don't know, I'm going to guess maybe 100 DYB website conversion funnel websites. It's got to be close if it's not more. I lost count. I lost track. I used to have a list of like
Yeah, we
50 some of
recently
them.
broke 100.
Did you?
So,
Right on. Congrats. I've had a
yep,
feeling it was real
yeah.
close. Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so I refer you, and one of the reasons why I tell everybody I refer you is because two things. One is, I mean, two, let me just say two practical ones is you get things done. A lot of agencies don't. They will line somebody up with a bunch of to-dos to get them, and they'll never follow up with them. They'll overwhelm them and leave it on their lap. Uh, Painting contractors are busy, way too busy to have somebody just dump a bunch on them and then never follow up. You've got a system laid out for them, and you follow up and you say, hey, let's get this done. And in fact, you turn these sites around in as fast as 3 or 4 weeks, even, which is unheard of in this industry. The other thing is you're honest, and I have a story to back this up because this is it's not an honest industry. I'm not sure that's the most polite way I can put it. It reminds me of sending your wife to the mechanic in the 80s, right? Because it's so technical and it's so foreign to most people that they just have to take the agency's word for it, whatever they're saying. However, excuse me, here's the story. I had as comment Seth Peak said, hey, maybe we were looking at ramping up lead sources a little bit. Things are going really well. And I said, he says, what about, online? What about some SEO? And I said, hey, why don't you reach out to Mike, ClikWiz Mike, and talk to him about it, see what it looks like, see what it costs. So he did. He reached out to you. And then Seth forwarded me the email that you sent him, something along the lines, and correct me. Hey, Seth, thank you for reaching out. I did some research and checked out your market, and I checked out everything you're doing on your website. And while I'd love to have your business, it's not worth it for you to invest in SEO.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty much how it went. In some cases you they're already crushing it,
Yeah.
and so it doesn't make sense to, put go out and buy a piece of equipment for your business that you just don't
Mm-hmm.
need, so same with SEO.
So here's the
If
point I'd like to make.
it's
Pardon me,
not
let me
going to
jump.
get you a huge ROI, then
Yeah.
I'm not going to sell it to you.
So here's the point I'd like to make for everybody listening or watching. That is unheard of in the agency space. Unheard of in the agency space. And this is, another big reason why we recommend Mike. And so I appreciate you for that, Mike. Thank you. So let's
Thank
go
you.
ahead and get into some SEO. How do you approach SEO on a website?
um, Yeah, I mean, so we've already kind of been discussing the EEAT. That's huge. Content is everything on a website. So um, you know, at minimum, you want to have your service pages. Break down. Or do you do interior, exterior, commercial, cabinet painting, whatever specific services you do? Build out a separate page for that.
So a unique page for each service, one outlining
Yes.
cabinets, one outlining exteriors, one outlining interiors,
Yep.
concrete floors, condo buildings,
Yep.
whatever their niche is, HOAs. Okay.
Yeah. And I recommend, at least 500,000 words of content on those pages. So that seems like a lot, but it's, Google's looking for authority, and the more content, bottom line is more content ranks better than less content. So, um, and then let's see. So if you're in a city or area where there are multiple cities that you're targeting, you might have what's called a location page. And these aren't quite as effective as ranking factors as they used to be, but
Mm-hmm.
they do still have an effect. And so I still recommend that we still do them for our clients because it establishes your service area, and they don't have to be super long pages, but I still try to get at least 500 words of content on there. And you might include your photos from jobs that were in that area, maybe a Google map of that area, things like that. And so that just kind of establishes that local authority there.
Okay.
Let's see. We talked about team page already. Blogging, that's definitely important. Let's see. The biggest thing is content, and I think the biggest thing that
So
people
content is
struggle
still
with,
king.
yeah, the biggest thing people struggle with is getting content ideas. And I think the DYB Cafe has a great article on that, or thing
Little
on that.
course in
But
there. Yeah.
yeah,
Thank
of
you. I
course,
think
that's
that was
important.
all April too, just to give credit where it's due.
Yeah, start there. There's so many good ideas for content, and that it's like at least a year's worth of content on there. So, um, but you're basically answering questions that other people would ask about your industry. What kind of paint should I use for my bedroom walls? What sheen should I use? Things like that. It
How
doesn't have
much
to be
does it
complicated.
cost? Yeah.
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 Yep. Pricing is a big one.
Mhm.
So
Now, keywords are still important. How do you pick the right keywords?
great question. So since we've been doing this for so many painting companies for so long, we've keyword research we almost don't do any anymore because they're we know what the main
Mm-hmm.
keywords are. The only difference is maybe in this area of the country it might out in California they might search for house painters more than painting contractors, but in Philadelphia they might search for painting companies more than painting contractors. So um,
Interesting. Yeah.
the way I approach that is I take the top, I think it's around 5 keywords. So painters in Philadelphia, house painters in Philadelphia, painting contractors in Philadelphia, painting companies in Philadelphia. I think those are the big ones. Run those through Google's keyword tool, and just look at the search volume, and that'll give you kind of the order of importance. Now you still want to use all of them, and you still want to use relevant or related keywords like interior painting, exterior painting, things like that.
Okay.
Mix it up. Don't just repeat the same words throughout the site. But if you know what the top keyword search is in your area, then you might use that like in your titles and your headings and things like that. Um, if you live in an area that maybe you don't live in a big city, then Google's accuracy on that keyword tool goes way down. And so it might just show 10 or less search volume for your keywords. So what I do in that case is I'll go to the nearest metro area and use, like let's say you're in a small town in Texas. Well, I'll go, I'll use Dallas or Fort Worth or something like that, and get the search volume so I know what order they're of importance to use, and then switch Dallas out with my city.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. There's some ninja juice. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. But you don't really have to overthink it. You know what keywords are relevant in your industry.
Okay. I would kind of mention other agencies. I'd like to, so I want to address this, but do it as gracefully as possible. And I imagine that this is kind of a hassle for you because you hear about it when they come back to you. It's very common that agencies will reach out to all of us. Like I'd imagine they reach out to you too, just not knowing. Like a lot of times they'll reach out to me and all the painters. And they'll say, "Hey, Steve, you're not ranking in Venice, Florida, for painting." Business coach for painting contractors. I'm like, well, I don't care. Personally, I'm not trying to rank in Venice, but for everybody else, for painting contractors, it is important. And so it's very common because I hear it. They'll reach out to me first, say, hey, I'm using Mike. He's a great guy, but these guys just called me and they said, I'm not ranking for these. They sent me this great big report with all these colors on it and numbers. And I don't know what any of it means, but they tell me that whoever my guy is, he's not doing a great job and I'm missing out on all these opportunities. What's going on here? Right.
Yeah. That's a really good question because they reach out to me all the time. They reach out to our clients all the time.
Do they reach out to you
You
and
know,
say, Mike, you're not ranking?
yeah, yeah. Like, for just random keywords. Like I don't
Yeah.
even care about that
Yeah.
keyword, but
Right.
and the thing is with SEO, there's always more to do.
Mm-hmm.
You're never really done. That's why we don't sell SEO as just a one project. It's
Yeah.
never just one project because
So it's
you
evergreen.
everybody's constantly working to improve their rankings, and they're knocking each other off the top. So it's a never ending process, and so there's always things to improve, and some of those things aren't necessarily what's going to move the goalpost, right?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
move the ball forward.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and but it's easy for someone who's just sending out these cold emails to produce one of these reports and say, look at all these things that you're not doing on your site. And 9 times out of 10, the person doesn't know what the person's talking about. So it's easy to say, oh my gosh, my SEO guy's not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, or I need to get this fixed and I need to pay this guy thousands of dollars to fix this, when chances are they're probably scammers, or
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
least not very honest.
Yeah. Because
Um,
if they were worth their weight in salt, they wouldn't need all this cold outreach. Right.
right, right.
Yeah.
And not to say every agency that does cold outreach
Mm-hmm.
is bad. There's a lot of good ones out there, but unfortunately, 90% of them are
Yeah.
dishonest.
Because I mean, if they did well and knew what they were doing, wouldn't their own sites be ranking and generating their own leads online?
Yes and no. So a lot of times, it's like the contractor's house that's falling apart.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Okay. Got
um,
it.
my website personally is the last one to get my attention. I know it's
Hmm.
bad, but um, just because an agency's website isn't ranking well
Okay.
doesn't necessarily mean that they're a bad agency. It just means they're putting more effort into their clients or getting clients
Yeah.
than they are their own site.
Okay.
Sometimes
Well,
there's quicker ways to do it than
I think in
using
all
SEO.
fairness, yeah, you get a ton of referrals, and so you don't
Yeah,
need. Where I think in their situation, they need leads.
yeah,
Where they should be optimizing their own website first to generate leads. Where you
yeah,
get a ton of referrals, so it's kind of like, you know,
yeah,
I can relate because we don't stay on top of our website as much as we should either for the same reason. It's
yeah.
like,
For me, just because I'm pretty established in the industry, Google leads are my worst leads because they
interesting.
don't they
Yeah.
don't know me,
Hmm.
and so those are the hardest ones to close, and usually they are customers or prospects that maybe aren't ready for our services yet. They're
Okay.
not ready for the price point, and we're mid range price point. We're not even the most
Yeah.
expensive by even a long shot.
No, you're not. And I'd like to address that real quick. So there's another agency out of Texas, and I know they're getting $9,000 to $11,000 to build a website. Where, in contrast, you're building out uh, full DYB website conversion funnels, which means it has all of my marketing psychology in there. That does two things for everybody. It helps them to pre-sell qualified leads, and it helps them to detour unqualified leads, saving them time and hassle, so where they can focus on high quality leads, and you're building those out for like 3,900, versus
Yeah,
the others that are like 9 and 11,000, which is very reasonable, and they almost pay for themselves within first couple months, and then it's just
yeah.
pure gravy moving forward. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, we've
That
had many customers who, even without increasing rankings, when we launch one of their sites with a DYB funnel, their conversions go up, and conversion is the percentage of leads versus visitors. So if you were getting a 5% conversion before, and now you're getting 10%, that's five more leads per 100 visitors. So it
Yeah,
makes a
right on.
huge difference.
Hmm. Awesome. Thank you. Speaking of leads, now I heard about this because we get busy and we don't connect as often as we should, and I'm guilty. Uh, I heard about this one from one of our clients, and it was Jim Bailey in one of the mastermind groups. He's like, "Yeah, Mike's got me doing this something about $35 Google Leads, and it's different from anything else." And so, would you unpack that for us? What exactly is going on there? Because Jim was pretty excited about it. I'm like, "What? What? Why?" I'm like, "Mike, why are you telling me about that?"
Yeah, so Google finally opened up local service ads for painting companies a while back, and Jim's kind of a unicorn because he's just his market. He's just crushing it out there. I don't know what the difference is in his market. It must be just terrible competition because he
Oh, he's
is.
got some stiff comp. So he's in the greater Phoenix. Is it Phoenix area? And he's, I mean, maybe, but I know of some really stiff competitors he has out there. So,
Yeah.
you know, I,
And I say that because the volume of leads that he gets
mhm.
is a lot more than what we typically see on other clients. But
Okay,
local service ads is it's a no-brainer. It's easy to set up. You can set it up in about 30 minutes,
okay,
and it you the leads are typically between 30 and $40, and they're qualified leads. And if it's not a qualified lead, meaning there's somebody looking for a job or maybe a service that you don't actually provide that's not in your profile, then you can actually dispute it and they'll refund you the money. And so they're typically, with Google Ads, we struggle with a lot of unqualified leads, and especially the last 6 months to a year. But with local service ads, the leads are quality leads and cheap. I mean, $35 a lead, you can make money on that all day. So
awesome. Okay, and
um,
you help folks set that up as well.
yeah, we help set them up. We typically do it as kind of a freebie whenever we're doing local service ads or SEO for somebody, because it's one of those things for on our end. Once we set it up, it doesn't require much um, effort on our end. Now it
Okay,
does require some management on your end. So by that I mean you need to make sure that you are constantly getting reviews from your jobs, and you need to manage your leads in their system. So when you go into their system, they have like a little dashboard, and they'll show you all of the leads. Some of them were charged, some of them were not. You can actually listen to the calls, they record them, and you can put in the customer's name and email, phone number. Well, the phone number is already in because they called, but you can put in notes, and then you can mark the lead as whether it was booked or not. So I highly, highly, highly recommend you doing that, because what happens is Google wants to show the businesses that are closing those leads. They want to make sure that the people who are using their service, that are searching for painters and clicking on these ads, they want to make sure that they're getting the good service, right? And so by you giving that feedback to Google, they will show your ad higher in the list. Reviews is the most important thing. Constantly getting good reviews. All else being equal, the company with the most positive reviews is going to be the first ad, and that one is probably where Jim Bailey is crushing it. Is because he's in a big market. It's Phoenix, and he's showing up first every time,
okay,
and so that's going to make a big difference.
okay.
If you're not first, the leads, depending on your market and how big it is, it may only be one or two leads a week, but hey, that's one or two leads you didn't have.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. So if you feel like you want to throw money at something, we're always a hard no on paid leads for Angie's something or other, and what are some of the other ones that I'm trying not to give the full names of? They're
uh,
rackets. They're really bad
yeah,
rackets.
yeah,
I just want to come back and sue my pants off. But
yeah,
personally, I hate them because they cause nothing but harm and issues for our clients, and
yeah,
push their site down the SERPs. Every time they.
yeah.
And
A lot
so
of people getting started, those services are kind of a necessary evil, but
go
if
to
they need
BNI,
leads,
join BNI.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's
Join
other ways
BNI.
to get better
Yeah.
leads.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, with local service ads, if you're just getting started and you have no reviews, you're going
Mhm.
to have a hard time getting your ad shown.
That's true.
Um,
Yeah.
One thing I can recommend to boost your chances: set your budget much higher than what you think you're willing to spend. It
Okay.
will hardly ever spend it, and if it does, then you can just adjust it back down. But uh, the it, some customers, I could set their budget to 1,000 a week, and they're still only going to get one lead a week. It just depends on your market.
For the
So
$35 or so.
yeah, it doesn't
Okay.
really change the price of the lead.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Right on.
Um,
So we had a couple questions in the DYB community. I posted yesterday. I said, "Hey, I've got ClikWiz Mike coming back on the show. It's been long overdue." And a couple here. Do you mind if I run these by you?
yeah,
One was
absolutely.
from, thank you. One was from Corey Gardner. He said, if you can invest in paid ads versus SEO over the course of 1 year or more, what do you think would be a better long-term investment?
SEO all day.
Yeah.
SEO is going to generate the biggest ROI long term. Now,
Mm-hmm.
short term, it takes time. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. The nice thing about Google Ads is you can have an ad campaign set up in a week or so, and as soon as you launch that campaign, you could be getting calls. The downside to Google Ads, those calls can be very expensive. They've the past 6 months to a year, it's gotten really expensive.
Mm.
We've seen lead costs jump from $60 to $100 a lead up to $100, $200 a lead.
Ouch.
And so
Yeah.
they start to get prohibitive for a lot of our clients.
Mm-hmm.
And I also find that the smaller the budget, the harder it is to get your cost per lead down.
Okay.
So SEO over time, it's an investment that takes time, but
Mm-hmm.
the right now our kind of secret sauce is the local service ads combined with SEO.
Okay.
So you can start to get some leads that'll kind of pay for your SEO, so you can hopefully not just be putting money out of pocket, assuming you hire an agency and not doing it yourself. But if you combine those two, at least you've got some of that cost offset with some new business coming in while you're waiting for your rankings to climb up. So
Oh, that's great. Okay. Thank you. That's really good to hear. The other one is from a buddy I call him Slim Jim because when he joined DYB, started using the DYB scoreboard, and there are a lot of KPIs and with leading and lagging indicators that we track on there. And one of them was health, and he dropped, I think, by tracking it, he dropped like 70 pounds out of the gate. That was cool.
wow, that's
Yeah. So
awesome.
James Miller out of Canada, he says, question is SEO and WordPress versus custom coded. Is there a difference, benefit to one or the other? And then I would just add, are there other options besides WordPress as well? So he's saying WordPress versus custom coded, and I'd add in there, are there other solutions besides WordPress these days regarding SEO?
Yeah. So as far as SEO goes, if you're willing to put in the work, there's really no difference as far as the outcome between WordPress and custom coded site.
Mm-hmm.
But these days, I don't see any reason to do a custom coded site whatsoever. The time investment that's involved in that, it doesn't make any sense.
So I guess
Used to
it'd be like
be
going to put your own car together, order all the parts and put your own car together, or just go to the lot and buy one.
right,
Yeah.
and by the time maybe you'll save $5,000 or $10,000 on that car, but
Mm-hmm.
you're going to put a lot of
Yeah.
hours into it.
So that comes back
But
to principle, pardon me, of the hourly responsibility value, and I've got a video on YouTube about it, unpacking it. But basically, if you're building a $500,000 business and you do the math and you break that down $2,000 a year, then you're responsible for $250 an hour. Or if you're on your way to break the million, then your hourly responsibility rate is $500 an hour. So then it comes back to like, can you really afford to be focusing your time, the driver of the business, on some of these technical projects,
yeah,
or is it much cheaper just to hire it out?
yeah, and like back to the car reference, it'd be like every time you go to put gas in the car, you have to rebuild the gas tank and install a new gas tank,
Oh, right,
because now
right.
every time you add content to your site, well, you got to rebuild that page from scratch. And so with WordPress, you just copy and paste your text in and add a couple of pictures, and the writing is the only part that takes time. The rest, posting it takes
Mm-hmm.
5-10 minutes.
And even
So
the writing can be delegated to a content writer.
exactly, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's really no reason. A few years ago, WordPress themes were having a lot of speed issues. They were very bloated, so it was really hard to get them to load fast. And so that was maybe the only benefit that a hard coded site had versus WordPress. But even then, it didn't. That was just one benefit. The time investment in it
Okay.
still negated any benefit at all. So, but now the themes and templates are much faster. They've gotten so much better now.
Right on. All right. Now, I think this is my last question that I had teed up for you anyway, and this is what I'm most excited about. And that is, what are some trends or emerging technologies in digital marketing today?
Yeah. So, I mean, the biggest one all day, hands down, is AI.
There it is. I was waiting for
I
it.
mean, I mean that's the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. So, what's
it,
up with AI and how can we use it?
gosh, that's such a big question because we're so early in it that we have only begun to conceive what the possibilities are for it.
Hmm.
But I can tell you right now that AI is going to change every industry and every aspect of our lives over the next 10 years. This is like 1995. We're
Internet.
just getting into where the internet broke
Yeah. I
out, and
remember. I'm old enough. I was there.
yeah, that was the year I graduated high school.
Yeah.
And now I'm at my dad's age when that came out, and so now this AI stuff's coming out, and it's I can see why my dad just kind of said, I don't want to have anything to do with that stuff. That's you kids, you guys do that stuff, and even now, like I can get him to email, and he has a Facebook just
Mm-hmm.
to kind of see what his kids are up to, but
Yeah.
he just technology has left him, and it's my
Mm-hmm.
choice.
Yeah.
He's chosen not to get on the bandwagon, and so I'm having to, now that I'm his age at that time, I'm having to force myself into, learning AI. And gosh, it just blows my mind every day.
Mm.
Every time I go use it, it's like, wow, that just saved me. I just got done in 10 seconds what would have taken me 5 hours before.
Mm.
I've been working on just some overall brand messaging for our business lately, and I can write, but I'm not great at it. And
Mm.
so just taking and writing something out and then plugging it into Chat GPT and say, hey, rewrite this in a more colorful tone. And in seconds, it's like, bam, oh man, why didn't I think of that? and
Yeah.
and so it's mind blowing. And so I highly recommend, just as an overall personal and business strategy, learn it. Go and use it every day. Go just go play with it. Do things like content creation is the big one that's disrupting my industry right now. Um, AI is just it's complete. Our industry, as far as content generation goes, was the first one to disrupt, but it's going to
Sure.
disrupt every industry.
Any thoughts
And
about
so,
Google responding, recognizing AI content, responding?
yeah,
Regards.
so they came out and said that there's no penalty for using AI content. But the caveat to that is, as long as your content is helpful.
Hmm.
So back to their EEAT acronym, the
Mm-hmm.
experience, expertise, authoritativeness, trustworthiness. Your content has to be good, has to be helpful. And so sometimes the AI content, sometimes right out of the box, it might be incredible. But usually it's going to take some tweaking, you know, and,
Mm-hmm.
um, and so you can use it to streamline the content generation process, but just don't don't go to Chat GPT and say write a blog post about interior painting and then just copy and paste it into your blog. That's probably not going to have much effect.
Okay.
But go to Chat GPT and say, give me 10 blog post ideas for a painting company in Dallas, Texas, and boom. So just taking those ideas that sometimes that's the hardest part of writing a blog is what the heck am I going to write about?
What am I going to write about?
And
it's so familiar to us, right? We're like, what? Nobody wants to know about that. But the truth is, yes, they do.
Yeah, they do. They do. And
knowledge.
What are the top searches about cabinet painting? What do people want to know? So and you could talk to it like a human, and usually it might take some massaging to get the answers that you're looking for, but just start using it and get familiar with it. The other things that you want to do is that you could try is posting. So give me a 500-word article about the best cabinet painter or cabinet painting processes, something like that. And, it may not spit out a great article, but it's something to start with.
Some inspiration, some guidelines to work on, take it, massage it, make it your own.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're decent at writing and you have the time to just, spend 15 minutes editing those articles, and go to the DYB cafe, take some of those topics out of there, paste them into Chat GPT, and start from there. But don't just copy and paste the articles word for word.
Right on. Okay.
But it's a great tool. I highly recommend, just as a, on a personal and a business level, just get to know it because it's coming and it's coming fast.
Okay, right on. Thank you. Well, I know you're a real busy guy. I don't want to keep you much longer. However, is there a question I should have asked or any final comments that you'd like to make before we roll out?
Gosh. I can't think of any questions that we didn't cover. That I think we provided quite a bit of value here. I tried to
thank you for that. Appreciate
it. Try to cover as much value, but final comments is, if follow some of these tips that I've given you today. If you're wanting to, do it yourself, reach out to me if you have questions or just need some guidance or clarification on anything. Happy to help. If you really want to accelerate your growth, then give us a call. We can schedule a strategy call. I'm happy to walk through your site and your market, and I'll give you the honest truth. And if it makes sense for us to work together, I'll tell you. And if I know I can provide a good ROI for you, I'll tell you. If I can't, I'll tell you that too.
Right on. What's the best way for them to reach out?
Go to our website, ClikWiz.com, ClikWiz.com, and you can schedule a strategy call right there.
Awesome. Mike, thank you so much. Thank you for being an awesome asset and partner to DYB and a friend as well. Appreciate you and the service you provide. Thank you again for coming back on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and appreciate you as well. Thank you.